Let's dive right into this explainer, where we're going to explore the sweeping 2,600-year epic of a city that's basically the ultimate immoral protagonist. Seriously, we're looking at a metropolis that is constantly dying and being reborn. It's a place that has stood literally at the very center of human history, outlasting empires, surviving catastrophic sieges, and completely reinventing itself time and time again.
Here's our roadmap for today. First up, the City of the Blind. Then we'll look at the rise of the Byzantines. Third, Crusades and catastrophe. Fourth, the Ottoman rebirth. And finally, the modern megacity. Let's get into it. Section 1. The City of the Blind, starting with its 600 BC origins.
So according to legend, a Greek explorer named Byzas actually consulted the Oracle of Delphi before setting sail to establish a new colony. And the Oracle told him, "Found your city opposite the land of the blind." Well, when Byzas reached the Bosphorus Strait, he saw a town called Chalcedon over on the Asian side. And it clicked. He immediately realized those founders must have been, well, utterly blind to have missed the obviously superior, easily defensible natural harbor on the triangular peninsula just across the water on the European side. So right there on that perfect spot, he founded Byzantium.
Because of that incredible geographic advantage, Byzantium quickly grew into this thriving Greek trading hub. But jump to 1903 AD, and it became a Roman casualty. The city unwisely backed the wrong side in a Roman civil war, and Emperor Septimius Severus completely razed its defenses to the ground as punishment. But, you really can't keep a location this good down for long. Seeking a strategic new administrative center, Constantine the Great resurrected the site, massively expanding its walls, and in 330 AD, he autonomously renamed it Constantinople, crowning it as his brand new imperial capital.
Section 2. Rise of the Byzantines. We're entering a golden age.
By the 6th century, under Emperor Justinian I, the population hit 500,000 people, making Constantinople the largest and most cosmopolitan city in the entire world. But all that density? It was kind of like a powder keg. In 532 AD, a dispute between rival chariot racing factions escalated into the Nika riots. This was a massive, citywide rebellion against the emperor. Before Justinian ruthlessly crushed it, 30,000 people were dead, and half of this glorious city, including the old cathedral, was just reduced to smoldering ashes.
But incredibly, from those ashes came a true golden age. Seizing the chance to rebuild on a massive scale, Justinian created some absolutely incredible architectural marvels. He commissioned the new Hagia Sophia. This was a revolutionary domed basilica that completely dwarfed anything built before it, and it firmly established the city as the spiritual crown of the Eastern Roman Empire. He also built the vast basilica cistern to secure the city's water supply. Meanwhile, the city's harbors were just teeming with merchant vessels carrying silks from China and spices from India. It was the undisputed hub of global commerce.
Naturally, all this immense wealth made Constantinople a massive target. Its survival against these huge 7th and 8th century Arab sieges relied almost entirely on a terrifying secret weapon known as Greek fire. This was basically ancient napalm that could literally burn on water. It's wild. And to further bolster their defenses in later centuries, the Byzantine emperors actually forged alliances with Viking and Rus traders, creating this elite axe-bearing unit called the Varangian Guard to protect the palace.
But, as is so often the case, external walls can't protect you against internal fractures. In 1054, the Christian world formally split in two during the Great Schism. What started out as a theological dispute over church practices quickly escalated into a bitter, highly political rivalry. It totally fractured Christendom into the Roman Catholic West and the Orthodox East. Now, many people at the time thought it was just a petty squabble, but in reality, it was a ticking time bomb that would ultimately doom the Byzantine capital.
Section 3. Crusades and catastrophe. This brings us to the devastating 1204 sacking.
From a thriving metropolis of 500,000 people, the population absolutely plummeted to an agonizing 50,000. Why such a massive drop? Well, the Fourth Crusade, which was originally meant for Jerusalem, was ruthlessly diverted by the Republic of Venice straight toward Constantinople in 1204. For 3 brutal days, a Christian crusader army sacked the greatest Christian city in the world. They stripped the Hagia Sophia of its gold, they destroyed priceless classical treasures, and they left the proud capital a smoldering, depopulated ruin. The Byzantines did eventually reclaim it, but the empire was left as a mere shadow of its former self.
And 2 centuries later came the final, fatal blow.
By 1453, Constantinople was essentially just a tiny island of Christian rule surrounded by a vast Ottoman sea. The young Ottoman Sultan Mehmed II brought 100,000 men and massive cannons to pound the legendary land walls. Inside, Emperor Constantine XI and just 7,000 vastly outnumbered defenders put up a valiant, desperate defense for 7 long weeks. But on May 29, 1453, the walls were breached. The emperor died in the fighting, and the 1,100-year-old Byzantine Empire officially ceased to exist.
Moving to Section 4, the Ottoman Rebirth, an entirely new era begins.
So Mehmed II immediately declares the city the capital of his growing Ottoman Empire, and to breathe life back into these empty streets, he actively invited, and in some cases forced, Christians and Jews to return and settle right alongside Muslims. Because of this lingering Greek population, their everyday phrase, Istanbul, which simply meant to the city, organically evolved into the city's new everyday name, Istanbul. Pretty fascinating, right?
Under Muslim rule, the city absolutely blossomed. By the 16th century, under Sultan Suleiman the Magnificent, the population rebounded to a staggering 700,000 people. The city transformed, creating this unmatched skyline of domes and minarets. The sultans built the sprawling Topkapi Palace and the famously labyrinthine Grand Bazaar. And the great architect Mimar Sinan designed breathtaking masterpieces like the Suleymaniye Mosque. It was a true golden age of art, diplomacy, and a really vibrant cosmopolitan society, which, by the way, was heavily fueled by the newly discovered joy of coffee houses.
However, we know that no golden age lasts forever. Centuries of military defeats and administrative stagnation eventually led European contemporaries to slap the Ottoman Empire with his rather infamous nickname, the Sick Man of Europe. Desperate to halt this decline, 19th-century rulers initiated the Tanzimat reforms. They tried their best to modernize the ancient streets. They built grand European-style neoclassical palaces like Dolmabahce, and they even inaugurated the Tunnel, an underground funicular that was literally the world's second oldest subway system.
Section 5. The Modern Megacity, the Dawn of a Secular Republic.
World War I brought absolute devastation. By 1918, the defeated city was occupied by Allied forces, complete with warships sitting menacingly right in the Bosphorus. But an Ottoman army officer named Mustafa Kemal Ataturk rallied a fierce nationalist resistance. He led the Turkish War of Independence and successfully drove out the foreign forces. In 1923, the Secular Republic of Turkey was declared, banishing the 623-year-old Ottoman dynasty forever. And to really finalize that break from the past, the city was officially and legally named Istanbul in 1930.
But the birth of the Republic actually came with a pretty massive demotion. For the very first time in 1,600 years, literally since Constantine first laid down his walls, the city was stripped of its status as the seat of government. Ataturk moved the political capital to Ankara, right in the center of the country. So Istanbul rapidly transformed from an imperial seat of absolute power into a modernized, more homogenized commercial and cultural hub.
Yet, even without the shiny title of capital city, its geography simply refused to let it fade into the background. Driven by massive waves of Anatolian migration looking for factory jobs in the 1960s, plus the opening of the very first road bridge linking Europe and Asia in 1973, Istanbul's population absolutely exploded. It shot up from about 1.5 million to the towering economic powerhouse we see today, which is home to over 15 million people.
Which brings us right up to the present day. We've just traced a city that has outlasted 3 massive empires, survived devastating fires, riots, and sieges, and continuously reinvented itself, right on the very edge of 2 continents. So what comes next? After 2,600 years of burning, breaking, and rebuilding, what new forces will shape the ultimate bridge between East and West in the decades to come? Thank you so much for joining me on this incredible historical journey through this explainer. Keep wondering, keep learning, and I'll see you next time.